those of you who are into budget Chinese watches, you would have probably noticed the four most popular brands to Homage are the Rolex Submariner, the Tissot PRX, the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, and this one here today, the Patek Philippe Nautilus. So my aim today is to look at and compare four of these brands and to finally pick out which I think is the winner amongst them all. There are actually 5 watches here, but 2 of them, the Patek, are the same. One on the steel bracelet and one on the leather. So let's have a look at these things. Good day to you all and welcome back to another BBW review. So the first thing I want to compare is, which I think is the most important, is the price. Starting with the most expensive is the Patek 613B. So as I mentioned, there are 2 the same, which is the steel bracelet and the leather bracelet. They both retail at $12. The next on the list is the Bangway at $5.50. Next is the Paagomu at $5. And the cheapest in this comparison list is the TPO FHS at $4.80. Now on to the diameter and the case. There's very little difference between the size. You have this is the largest, the Bangway. The diameter of this is 42 millimeters, where the other 3 brands are 41 millimeter. The cases themselves are all of the same construction. They're all alloy cases, but with slight differences. The Bangway has the biggest width on the bezel, and if you compare that with the TPOFHS, you'll notice there is a difference between the size of the bezel. The Bangway is slightly wider, and the other 2 brands are probably somewhere in between these 2 with the width of the bezel. But there is different materials used on the Paagomu, which I'll show you now. So the Paagomu has a different plating on the case itself. You can see the difference in the colour between the bracelet, which is polished here, and the case itself is, I don't think it is sandblasted because it's alloy, but it has a sandblasted kind of feel and a look. So it's quite dull. Now if I compare this to one of the compare this to one of the Patek's, you can see the difference is quite clear. One is quite shiny, whereas the Paagomu, it does have that sandblasted effect. It doesn't feel like metal either, but not plastic, something in between. But I quite like it. I don't like watches that are too blingy, so it does have a nice quality about it. That's the Paagomu. Now for me, the most important measurement, especially on your wrist, is the Lug-to-lug. The Paagomu has the widest width, which is 53 millimeters from lug to lug, but those end links, they do hang down quite straight, so that it's going to fit even the slimmest wrist. Now the others are all 52 millimeter, apart from the Bangway, which is 49 millimeters. So let's compare this with the Bangway. Now the difference in weight is not one you'd really notice once it's on your wrist, but the lightest is the TPO FHS at 93 grams, and the steel bracelet, Patek 613B, at 106 grams. But again, the difference isn't really noticeable in the hand or on the wrist. Now the next comparison is actually the dial itself. The Patek, the Paagomu and the Bangway all have that traditional board or striped patterning on the face, whereas the TPO-FHS has a more of a waffle pattern. I actually prefer the originality of the, or one that copies the Patek more, which is this boarding pattern here. The I hate saying that. The TPO-FHS, what a ridiculous name, gets the bottom on the list for the names anyway. It's quite a nice patterning, but I do prefer a homage to the original Patek, and it does give a nice effect of lighter going out to a darker finish around the perimeter there, whereas the TPO-FHS doesn't really have that effect. Looking at the profiles, they're basically the same, but you can see a difference in the hands. I've mentioned this before. I'm not sure why Patek used Mercedes hands, where the other watches copy the Patek more with these more plain hands. So I do prefer the hands that copy the Patek more. Again, the Mercedes are okay, but if you're going to copy Patek, why don't you copy the hands also? On to the movements. The movements are all going to be pretty basic. You get what you pay for. But the Patek is the only one that claims to have a Japanese movement, where the other three brands don't. But let's check that with the minute hand jump. So I'll do the same unscientific test for all of them, where I position the minute hand over the hour, and I'll give 3 presses for each. 1 with the thumb, slight jump backwards, 1 with finger and thumb, no jump there, and 1 with just the finger. Oh, no jump there. So pretty good. The resistance is okay. It's not too floppy. So pretty good. Let's have a look at the others now. So next we have the Paagomu, another ridiculous name. Over the 12, again 3 attempts at this. Once with the thumb, no jump. Once with the finger and thumb, there we go. And once with the finger. Very slight, but not worth worrying about. The resistance is it's the same as the Patek. It's okay. There you have it. The last one is going to be the Bangway. Actually, not the last one. We have 2 more. The Bangway. Let's check this one out. So positioning the minute hand over the 12 and engaging with the thumb, slight jump backwards, finger and thumb. Where am I? Okay. Slight jump backwards again, and just the finger now. 1, 2, 3. Pretty good. So the last one is the TPO-FHS over the 12. The thumb first. The finger and thumb, slight jump backwards, and just the finger now. Oh. 1, 2, 3, slight jump backwards. This is probably the worst. Let's check the resistance. Again, the resistance is okay. It's pretty much the same as the others. But one thing I should say about this, I'm not sure if it's the positioning of the crown amongst the guards, but you really do have to kind of dig into there to pull out the crown. I also had to actually use a tool to pluck it out. It's not so easy as the others, so something to take note of there. There you go. Now onto the straps themselves. So my judgment here is based on which one copies the original Patek more and which one has the better feel and quality. They're all what you'd expect for the price. They're all push pin, which I like, and apart from the bangway, they're all butterfly release, which is my favourite kind of strap. So they all work pretty much the same. Let's have a look. They do hang, the Patek do hang off quite nice in a vertically straight from the end links there, from the end of the lugs, which is nice. You have polished mid links there. They're all the same. They're just individual links. You have this is 1, 2, 3. That's one link. They do look like they're independent, but they're not. So that's one link there, and they're all pretty much the same there. Matching the bracelet to the case, they've done a pretty good job here. It is pretty much the same hue. So a good job there from Patek. Let's have a look at the leather strap now from the Patek. So I bought exactly the same watch, the only difference being the strap. Now initially I didn't like this strap because of a leather strap shouldn't have bling, but this one does. It's a shiny leather strap. Shiny leather shouldn't be in the same sentence, but here it obviously is. But it's something I've got used to. I like the contrast between the rose gold and the brown, the rose gold and the brown and the blue. Strange colours that do match quite well. And this again is another butterfly deployment clasp, which works fine. Very nice there. So comparing the steel and the leather, I prefer the steel, but I just wanted the leather because it just looked different, and it looks nice. I like it. It's quite supple. It didn't need too much breaking in. Now let's have a look at the next one, which will be the Paagomu. Now the strap on the Paagomu, similar to the Patek in the design, they are both push pins, and again you have 1, 2, 3 parts which are individual links there. So 1, 2, 3, that's one link there. The center and the 2 outer is one link. It falls quite well from the lugs. Slight protrusion there, but fine. This is the widest width on the Lug-to-lug by just 1mm, so it's a very unnoticeable difference there. One thing you will notice is you kind of have a polished outer and a very polished center link, and because of that sandblasting effect, it doesn't match. You have shiny, shiny, and matte. Now it doesn't really notice when it's on your swinging about on your wrist, but up close like this you can see the difference between that matte or sandblast effect finish and the glitz and shine of that polished bracelet. But the quality is about the same as the Patek. There you have the Paagomu. The bangway, as I mentioned, the difference between the bangway and the others is it has a much wider bezel, which I like. It copies the Patek more. I think the other 3 brands, the bezel is a bit too thin and doesn't really copy the original Patek. But the bracelet, so you have a shiny case and a shiny bezel. And so it does, I think the case outshines the strap a bit more, but nothing you'd notice. So it does match quite well. Again, you have push pin connectors there, and the links are the same. You have 1, 2, 3. The mid and the outer is just one link. It does fall quite nice there off of the lugs. Again, a vertical drop down. And the clasp. This is the thing that I think lets it down compared with the other brands. I don't like these simple pressed clasps. 2-button release, which works fine. But I don't know, I just think they look really cheap, these pressed clasps. think the butterflies look a bit more quality. There you go, that's the bang waist bracelet, stainless with the alloy case. So as I mentioned, the leather strap and the stainless steel strap, they're quite different, so it's quite difficult to make a good judgment call on this. The weight, I prefer a more weighty watch, so the Patek takes it there. The weight of the steel strap is 106 grams compared to the 72 grams on the leather strap. So again, I do prefer a bit more heft and weight to my watches. And the one thing that I don't like about this, although I've got used to it, I don't really like the shine on a leather strap. I was actually thinking of taking a 600 grit sandpaper to that, see if I can dull it down a bit, but I never bothered to do that. So the strap, the winner, is the Patek stainless steel. So now, narrowing down the comparison between which I like best, let's start with the bracelets. The Bangway is a bit too shiny for me. The Paagomu doesn't match. We have a sandblast effect on the case and a blingy, shiny bracelet, doesn't really match. Also with the TPO FHS, you have a difference between a slight matting on the case and a shiny bracelet. So the one that takes the prize on the best bracelet is the Paagomu. The Patek. They all copy the original Patek quite well in the design of the bracelet, but I think the Patek just does a better job of matching the bracelet with the case, the hue. There's no difference there. So that wins it for me. Now the movements are all pretty much the same, so there's not much of a comparison to make there, apart from the Patek, which apparently does have a Japanese movement, so I'll give the winning prize to that one. The other important feature, obviously one that is going to be important to you when you're choosing which watch to wear, is going to be the face, a pretty face. The winner for me, again, is the Patek. I just really like that that original boarding effect, that horizontal effect on the face there, and the fact that it goes from a lighter green out towards a darker green. I think it's a really nice effect. So the Patek wins it then. But very close behind that is going to be the Bangway. I do like a Tiffany style watch. This isn't Tiffany, this is more of an ice blue, but I really like the styling there. Look at the difference in the paneling there. Even on the individual panels or the stripes there, you can see the sunburst, which has a really nice effect there. I do like the wider bezel on the Bangway and the effect of the borders on the profiles, the black and the white difference there, and which match the hands well, whereas the Patek doesn't really match. The Patek is just straight silver. Let me show you the difference there. So as you can see, the Patek, it does have that silver border on the profiles, but not as noticeable as on the Bangway. And that ice blue really is nice. There's a very small difference in which I prefer between the green and the ice blue here, but again, the Patek does take it there. I wish they didn't use those Mercedes hands. So the winner is the Patek, then the Bangway. Next is the Paagomu, which is very similar to the Patek, apart from the colour, which is quite a nice blue here. You can see it starts light and towards the edge it does get darker. The profiles are the same as the Patek, but it also copies the same hands as the Patek, those Mercedes. And the last one being the TPO FHS with that waffle pattern. It is nice, but if you're doing a homage, why not copy the original with that paneling, not a profile? It's more of a Tissot. But the rest of it, the hands and the profiles are nice. I think the hands are much better than the Peau de Gare, but as a whole, the face with the waffle pattern, I don't think does it as well as the Peau de Gare or the Paagomu or the Bangway. Now the overall winners are, although the most expensive by more than twice as much as the others at $12, the winner is going to be this beautiful green panelled Peau de Gare. And a quick wrist roll there. This really is a very popular watch and has quite a high sales number on, I think, most websites that you'll check. That's the Peau de Gare. Let's have a look at the leather strap now. So coming in second place on my favourite Nautilus Homage watches is the Peau de Gare 613B leather strap. Rose gold, brown blingy leather strap with the butterfly deployment there. Again, you get used to this strap. And that blue panelling is quite nice there. That's the Peau de Gare 613B leather strap. Next on my preference of these Nautilus Homage watches is the Bangway, primarily because of that beautiful ice blue dial there and the wider bezel. They've done a good job with the profiles there that match the hands quite well. The only thing that does let it down for me is the strap is a bit blingy, a bit shiny, and this press release clasp. It works fine, but I'm a butterfly deployment fan. So that's the next one, the Bangway. Again, no designation, it's just the Bangway. There's no number or anything, just the Bangway. At number 3, my preference is the Paagomu. Just $5. This is a really nice watch. Again, the bracelet doesn't match the sandblast effect of the case too well, but it's not something you notice once it's on your wrist. You'd really have to look closely to find that difference, and the difference is not a deal breaker. At $5 it would not be. That's the Paagomu. And coming in last in my overall preference is the TPO FHS at $4.80, so being the cheapest. It's not, just because it's last doesn't mean I don't like it, but the differences compared to the rest do put it at the bottom, being the waffle pattern dial. And there you have it. The comparison of the Patek Nautilus from 4 different Chinese brands, and in order of preference, my favourite, the Peau de Gare 613B, also being the most expensive at $12, followed by the Bangway at $5.50, the Paagomu at $5, and last but certainly not least, the TPO FHS at $4.80. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again with a watch on the green chair next time. Until then, as always, take it easy.